Avengers! Assemble.
This is cool and all, but I'd rather watch Look, listen, before you get upset, just know that X-Men was my introduction to Marvel as a whole, namely the animated series that they put out. So I feel it's only appropriate for me to actually talk about those animated series because they hold a special place in my heart, and well, there's not really been a live-action X-Men, have there? What's that? There are two? Well, maybe later. Now, on record, the X-Men have had only 3 official TV shows for themselves. However, their first animated appearance would be in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which features Spider-Man working alongside Iceman and a OC mutant called Firestar. Like, no, seriously though, like, this character didn't exist until this TV show. And funny enough, this was supposed to be a backdoor pilot for the X-Men first animated show, which didn't really follow through. Hey, at the end of that decade, we did get our first produced pilot for the X-Men called Pride of the X-Men.
This is Stan Lee of Marvel Comics warning you to look around you. Your classmates, your friends, you never know which one of them may be a mutant.
This iteration follows Kitty Pryde, or Shadowcat, or Sprite, or Star-Lord, or Captain Kate Pryde, or the Red Queen. She's had a lot of identities in the comics, but essentially it follows Kitty Pryde and her first adventures with the X-Men. I'd say the biggest thing we got out of this was the arcade game that was released that features the characters from this. Oh, and Australian Wolverine, which is just wild.
Welcome her. Wait, she's not joining the X-Men, is she? She's just a kid. So the kid got lucky. That don't make her an X-Man. Not yet.
Not yet is White Wolverine, because we will not be seeing Kitty Pryde in the next show, which is the OG itself, the X-Men animated series. Premiering in 1992 and going on until 1997, boy howdy is this show just the elite. Now I could just go on and on about the show, like I could actually make probably an hour-long video just talking about this show because it's just so good. Like, I probably watch this show at least once a year, and the fact that Disney Plus had it as part of its lineup from the jump, that really made me actually get Disney Plus. I won't even lie, I got Disney Plus because of X-Men, and I had no regrets. Now, how to summarize this show is kind of difficult, but essentially, X-Men the Animated Series is a nice introductory to just meeting the X-Men. You start off through the eyes of Jubilee, who meets the X-Men for the first time.
All of us here are mutants, like yourself.
Well, tell me this. What is a mutant?
No one knows who will be a mutant at birth. We discover our extraordinary powers at about your age. Professor Xavier is our leader, and he has named us the X-Men. Don't worry, you are safe here.
And you kind of get to experience all the storylines from the comic books. You get to meet all of the iconic X-Men characters from
Jubilee.
Do you know how much that game costs?
Yeah, a quarter.
Storm, mistress of the elements, commands you to release that child.
How did you do that?
With style, Petit. With style.
I'm out of here.
Wait, Gambit will help you.
Who are you?
Cyclops energy blast, huh? Here's one from a pro.
There you are, Wolverine.
With faint heart, averted feet, and many a tear, in our opposed path to persevere. What's wrong, Jean?
Did you see what she did?
Yes, Rogue has a way with men.
She sure does. And Morph, the character who totally stays around the whole time.
What about Morph?
You get to meet the Morlocks.
We Morlocks are outcasts, mutants too deformed and unsightly to pass for human on the surface world.
Apocalypse and his 4 horsemen.
I know more of this world than you have even dreamed. That
That is why I must destroy it.
The Shi'ar Empire.
Assemble the Imperial Guard immediately, and make ready the Imperial Star Cruiser.
What has happened, my Empress?
Our worst nightmare.
Each season covers different storylines from the comics. Season 1 has Days of Future Past, it talks about the beginning of the apocalypse stuff, and we also have all the Sentinel drama that goes on. Season 2 focuses more on stories based for each character. Like we have Rogue's whole story with Miss Marvel? Captain Marvel? Wait. Oh, hi. Oh, this is awkward.
You stole my powers. You stole my life.
Or the false marriage between Scott and Jean, a trope that does occur quite often in X-Men. There's Season 3, which just really focuses on the Phoenix Saga, like both the good Phoenix and the bad Phoenix, and all the stuff in between. So we do meet the Hellfire Club, but we also get introduced to a lot of other X-Men characters that don't really get the limelight in this iteration. We even get a nice little scene that's very much touching for some.
Life will always be hard. I understand this better than most. Yet despite it all, people of every faith believe there is a God who loves them.
I'll take this time to actually kind of say that's what makes this iteration of the X-Men so amazing, is the fact that we actually talk about serious stuff. While being a Saturday morning cartoon, we still are able to talk on some heavy topics like religion or racism, slavery, family, and what makes one up, which a lot of episodes in Season 4 actually do cover, are a lot of family-based episodes. While Season 4 was originally set to be the finale of the series, Fox ordered another season, which did kind of be detrimental, as halfway through the season, due to the last-minute order of a new season, the animation style did take a hit. Yeah. But in the end, the show got its nice, peaceful ending. Sort of. And like I said before, I could literally go on probably for a full hour about this show. Like, I can't even think of any downsides or cons to this show, but I'll say that for another time. Shoot, maybe I'll even make a ranking video of all the episodes. Don't hold me to it. But maybe. While we would go on to see some of these characters later on, the next time we would see the X-Men would be in the year 2000, when the WB, specifically Kids WB, launched X-Men Evolution.
My name is Professor Charles Xavier, and it's my job to teach gifted young people how to use their abilities. It can be difficult, but without my guidance, they could easily stray down the dark path. I am Professor X, and these are the X-Men.
X-Men Evolution, world premiere next on Kids WB.
Which portrayed the X-Men as mainly teenagers, except for a few who are adults. And by doing so, this iteration of X-Men was more so a teen drama, where a lot of stuff that was happening was teen drama based.
Whoa, a digicam! How cool is that?
Look, it was a different time. And in case you're wondering who that is, well, that's Spike. You know, Storm's nephew. You know, a totally legit character who existed before this show aired. Speaking of characters, this show had a catalog of them, including the return of Cyclops, Jean Grey,
it's too hot to touch, at least with my hands.
Storm,
Yes, Professor?
Beast, who joins in the second season.
I'm not just Mr. McCoy. You can call me Beast.
Wolverine.
Ow! Going somewhere, bub?
And hey, Rogue.
Hey, I'm sorry.
X-Men, we have a rogue.
But also introducing Nightcrawler as a full cast member.
What about you, Kurt? Got a special gift that brought you here?
And once again, Spike.
Bless you. Busted, huh?
And hey, look who's back.
Wow.
And due to the nature of how young mutants are in this show, we actually also get, well, the New Mutants. And not those ones. We don't talk about those ones. As for the story, well, the first season was really just an introduction to both the X-Men and the Brotherhood characters. Now in this iteration, the Brotherhood stands more so for using their powers for personal gain. Wait, wrong show. especially considering that in this iteration, mutants aren't a globally known thing. It's more of a secret that there are mutants among us. Now the second season's where it gets more interesting as we meet the new mutants. I said not you, but it's also when you start realizing that there's certain things going on more in this world. Some major things. And for you MCU fans, you might meet a familiar face in a different look.
Secret weapon. Wanda? Pietro?
Wait, who's that with her? Wait, is that?
As you see, I've brought an old friend, Agatha Harkness, to teach her to focus her anger.
Uh-oh. But at the end of the season, a big thing happens. The world now knows mutants exist. And that's what season 3 is kind of about. It's about rebuilding from that damage and a lot of change.
I have a responsibility to keep the normal students out of harm's way.
As the world now knows mutants exist, so they have to kind of create a bridge between humans and mutants.
Now, most of you have children, and you love them for who they are, not for what they can or can't do. There is a chance that one of them will have an advanced X gene, and as they grow older, they will be considered mutants. You will love them anyway, but people will hate them, and people will want to hurt them. You will hope for the day when your child can live in a safe world. Well, that world must begin now, with you.
But also, a lot of our characters go through change, like Spike, for instance, who goes through a physical change, or Rogue, who essentially Rogue's latent DID broke through and mixed with Mystique's powers, causing her to go through a bunch of different personalities, all the while thinking that everyone hates her, so she tries to escape using all these other different powers. This is both my favorite and just traumatizing scene from this show. As for the final season, well, it's just a apocalypse storyline, so you get to see how everyone has grown fully from the show, and it kind of gives it a nice closure as everyone does come together for the final fight, bringing the show to, well, a very nice and just sweet ending. Although Xavier does see a future that's very, well, interesting. Wait, Wanda's in S.H.I.E.L.D.? That's weird. But yeah, overall, Evolution was a very good iteration of the X-Men, where you get to see the X-Men experience struggles as a teenager. So for kids and teenagers, you can see like how a mutant could be more of a metaphor for just growing up. But that could also be a detriment to the show, as it is more so meant for a younger audience, so there is stuff like a love triangle involved, but it also has a nostalgia factor to it, so it works out. When this show ended in 2003, the world was left without the X-Men on TV until a revival was announced in the year 2008, bringing us 2009's Wolverine and the X-Men. Due to this version only lasting one season, the story is a lot more easier to follow. This iteration of the X-Men picks up 1 year after the X-Men dissolved, after both Professor X and Jean were seemingly killed in an explosion. And it was up to Wolverine to bring the team back together after mutants all over the world began being captured, and later discovering that Professor X was in fact still alive, although in a comatose state. However, Professor X is still able to communicate with them from the future where he woke up. As for the characters in this show, well, you see the repeats of Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Beast, as well as seeing Iceman get his actual first debut as a main cast from the jump.
Right, the X-Men are back!
Shadowcat's back, and also Angel and Forge are side characters, along with Nightcrawler, who spends most of the time with Scarlet Witch.
Come back with us, Wanda. You don't have to stay here.
Yes, I do. My place is with my father. Goodbye, Kurt.
Rogue is also a part of this cast, but she unfortunately spends most of the season with the Brotherhood instead of the X-Men. Oh yeah, and then there's Emma Frost. And as the season progressed, we learned that the explosion that you see in the first episode was actually caused by Jean Grey, who unleashed the Phoenix Force. Meanwhile, Xavier in the future is dealing with the Sentinel program that has left the world in ruins. So the main theme of this show was really teamwork and rebuilding what was once destroyed. But since the show did end on a cliffhanger, we'll never really know what the future would have held. Well, besides, you guessed it, Apocalypse. Interestingly enough, that same year, Marvel decided to produce a bunch of motion comics, including a comics based on the Astonishing X-Men run, although it really only kind of covered one issue at that time. And it wasn't until 3 years later they decided to continue on doing some more iterations of that. So we kind of got some more stories for X-Men from this way, but it's kind of weird to look at. It's also very dark. Like, the Astonishing X-Men storyline itself is pretty...
Leave the children with me. After all, I only need a minute or two to murder them all.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. It's hard to really consider this an animated series, as it was more so just a one-to-one retelling of the comics, just in animation instead of just the panels. But the only real time we'd have seen X-Men after Wolverine and the X-Men in 2009 would be the time that Marvel collaborated with a anime studio to create X-Men, the anime. And the story for this one is very similar to Wolverine and the X-Men, as it's the team being reassembled after the death of Jean Grey and the events of the Dark Phoenix saga. And together this rebuilt team has to go to Japan to help save a bunch of mutants who have been abducted over there. Really, now that I think about it, the show really was kind of just a one-for-one with Wolverine and the X-Men, except what if we made it anime? They were bold. That's a bold decision. And with that, well, that's the last time we saw the X-Men on TV in an animated sense. Well, besides one man who just can't seem to just stay away. But what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, besides to go watch the X-Men cartoon, it's that even though they're cartoons, they are still serious. They all do cover heavy topics, and it's all a big metaphor.
Oh, normal humans and mutants don't have to be enemies.
But then why do people hate us?
People fear what they do not understand.
And I'm sure some of you are wondering, so I'll just say it real fast. Here's my ranking of the TV shows, but that opinion doesn't make any difference that all of them are so good. So if you have a chance, if you have Disney Plus, I'd say go watch them. All 3 of them are available right now, so go do it. But before you go watch it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, I think you're supposed to ding a bell or something, and put down in the comments who your favorite X-Men is, and why. I'm interested to see, because I think I made it already clear who my favorite is, but who's yours? For the time being, I'll be awaiting a new X-Men animated series. It has been more than a decade, Disney. So until next time.
The X-Men have won, but only for now. Magneto is still out there, waiting, planning, plotting the destruction of the human race. But whatever the challenge, whatever the peril...
The X-Men will always be there, ready. And of that, I am proud.
Ciao for now.